Welcome, everyone, to Circle City Conversations. Thank you for joining us for our conversation today. Thank you to our sponsor, Limontes, an Indiana law firm. We are here with an excellent lawyer, a father, a husband. No, I saw you. You went, oh, excellent.
I don't know if we call that.
A father and a husband and a bar junkie like me, and the future Bar Foundation president, right?
That's right.
Yes.
Somehow.
Kent, my friend Kent Winningham. Kent, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So Kent, you know, you've listened to the show before, so you have an idea kind of where we start. We like to talk about people's background, where they came from, why they do what they do, and who they are. So where are you from originally?
Yeah, from the north side of Indianapolis, Carmel area.
Mm-hmm.
Went to school north side, and was a competitive tennis player and athlete, and so I went to college out east to play some more tennis, and then made my way back to the Midwest.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Bowdoin College.
That Division III?
D3. Yep. Okay. I had a couple sisters that played at Dartmouth. I probably wasn't quite good enough to play at Dartmouth, but I wanted to get out of Indiana, and I was spoiled and lucky enough to do that for a few years and go to awesome school. So did that. My younger sister also played at Bowdoin as well, so we were there together, which was fun. So
yeah. Where is Bowdoin at?
It is in Brunswick, Maine. It's about 45 minutes from Portland. Old school, New England liberal arts school.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah. And so did you play tennis all 4 years out there?
I did. I played might be a loose term. I mean, I was the captain senior year. I didn't play a whole lot, but I was integrally involved. Yeah, yeah, and I did play a good amount. It was fun.
That was pre pickleball craze, right?
It was.
Yeah, yeah.
I know a lot of tennis players like hate pickleball.
Really?
I don't. They think it's less than. I don't really care. It seems fun. I haven't played like a ton, but
yeah,
it seems fun.
Well, I mean, frankly, hell, if I can play it, then I feel like anyone can play it. So
but that's kind of the beauty of it,
right?
Anyone can kind of play and have fun with it. Right?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a good time, and my kids love it too. They absolutely love it. Yeah. So you graduated from Bowdoin. Did you know that you wanted to be a lawyer at that point and you wanted to go to law school?
By maybe junior, senior year, I did. I mean, I grew up the son of a trial lawyer. You know, and I always heard about his cases. You know, when I asked him questions, he would talk to me about the cases, and I thought they were interesting. But honestly, you know, my dad never said, you know, you should be a lawyer when you grow up. I never pushed you. Not at all. In fact, my mom is a therapist, and she's a marriage counselor and works with a lot of kids. So, frankly, I thought that was more interesting. I was a little more intrigued by that early in college. But then I kind of, as I progressed through college and kind of some government legal studies courses I knew by senior year or so, that, I want to go to law school. So I went straight to law school.
So it's funny you said that, because don't you feel like sometimes we are therapists? Like
all the time.
It's called counselor for a reason,
which is part of. I think some people find that to be a difficult part of the practice, but I think it's what I love most. Yeah, is you become, for better or worse, you become close with a lot of your clients. They do come to you in the worst time of their entire life, and they're vulnerable, and you get to know them pretty well, pretty fast, which I like.
Yeah. I'm always, we try to focus on education as much as we can. It's like you said, they're vulnerable because they don't understand the process. They don't understand all of the legal pitfalls that they're going to have to deal with. I mean, you guys do a lot of medical malpractice work. A lot of people don't know that process, it can take years, you know? So I think that's an important focus to have. So you saw your dad working late nights, prepping for trial. You knew what it was like, right?
But I think I was pretty naive, because all myself and my three sisters were really competitive athletes in tennis and other sports, and traveling all the time. My dad and mom were both there for everything. So I guess I knew that he worked really hard and was up late working, etc. But he was always around for things. So I thought,
that's great.
You know, so I probably pretty naive view of what it was to be a trial lawyer in retrospect.
And that's a similar thing that I want to kind of bring to my family and my kids. Like, trial lawyers, we can work hard, we can work late nights, but we got to make that time for family. So was it your dad really that kind of motivated you to want to be a lawyer, trial lawyer? Is that fair?
I would say just kind of through seeing what he did.
Okay.
I mean, because his cases, when you would talk to me about them, as you know, they're also different and they were interesting. I mean, a lot of them were so sad, but I found them to be fascinating. So I think that aspect was kind of what probably instilled the curiosity. I think in law school, I did a lot of trial advocacy.
Oh, okay.
I just really loved. And I worked at a personal injury med mal firm. And so I think I just, you know what, this stuff is interesting. I like it. You get to know clients well. You get to counsel them. So I kind of got to fill that void of maybe the once upon a time it could have been a therapist. Probably a bad one. But so yeah, I felt like it fit kind of my skill set well.
Yeah. And so where'd you go to law school?
I went to Loyola in Chicago.
Okay. You stayed up there, didn't you, for a few years?
I did. I practiced there for a couple of years. Met my wife at the firm that we worked at. She interviewed me as a law clerk. And somehow convinced her to date me a few years later.
You were a law clerk. She was a associate.
She was a first or second year associate. Yeah. And so I got the job.
Nice. You got the most important job.
That's right. Yeah, husband. Actually, it took some time, but so I did all nursing home negligence and all medical malpractice.
Plaintiff side or
all plaintiff side.
What was the name of that firm?
Levin & Perconti. So they do heavy nursing home negligence, med mal, birth injury. So we were there for a couple of years. Got to experience the Cook County, Chicago grind, and God love everyone that does it there, but it's different. It is a grind, and Indiana it's a little bit more relaxed, I would say.
Absolutely. And so eventually you made the decision to come back to Indianapolis. Did you know you were going to come work with your dad at that time and Bruce?
So after a couple of years at that firm, I kind of wanted to transition somewhere else, and at that time you had to have 5 years to have reciprocity to practice in another state, right? Or you'd have to take the bar. So I was kind of like, I'll practice in Chicago for a few more years. And then I was here for a Colts game one weekend, and Bruce Kehoe, I had coffee. I've known Bruce obviously my entire life. And he said, Indianapolis is a pretty great place to practice. You should just think about sucking it up and taking the bar and coming back here and working with us. And I thought, wow, you know what? Maybe I should just do this now. I always wanted to work with them. I just didn't know when it would be. So I think that at that time I thought, you know what? I'm just going to take the bar and I'm going to come back. So I'm lucky enough to have that opportunity to do it.
So how old were you?
I would have been
2 years in.
2 years in. So 27 or so.
Crazy. I was 2 years in when I took the Florida bar.
Okay,
so I was a public defender. Yeah.
So the process.
Yeah, but I didn't have the the Chicago grind. I mean, when I was a PD, I had the time to study.
I had time to study. Believe me, this is not a woe is me. I was super lucky. But no, it was Bruce, and my dad again has always been kind of hands off. Would love to work together at some point, but it was Bruce that kind of was the driving force actually behind it all.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Bruce is a great guy.
He's okay. Yeah. He's the best. He is the best. I've learned so much from him. I owe a lot to him.
Is he a pilot?
He former
pilot. That's right. He does aviation cases, right?
He does. So he used to fly a lot.
Yeah.
He'll sit in the passenger seat of a Cirrus that he likes to fly around, but he doesn't really fly it anymore. His eyes aren't good enough. But Bruce in our firm has done a lot of aviation work over the years. Because Harry Wilson, our founding partner, was a pilot as well.
Okay,
and then Bruce was. So Bruce knows a lot in that area.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
My partner Bill tells some Harry Wilson stories. So
they're both legends of the trial lawyer bar in Indiana,
right? Yeah. So it's fun. My nephew is at Purdue. They have a great aviation school there.
Yes.
I didn't even know they did. Yeah.
Really, really good aviation school.
Yeah, he's going to start his sophomore year now. He loves it.
Yep.
Loves it. So, of course, my wife is terrified, for him, but
naturally.
Yeah, right.
Don't tell her about any of our cases.
No. I mean, we have, we're crazy. People tell me we're crazy because we have a trampoline in the backyard. Yeah. And, personal injury lawyers, it's like, you don't own a trampoline, because you've seen what happens with them.
I truly think back to my childhood and think, I don't know how I grew up in such a normal way doing normal kid stuff, because I get myself as a dad now, and I think I'm probably a little more anxious maybe than my dad was, but yeah, I'm also very grateful that I could do normal kid stuff.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, so eventually you take the bar, right? And you, I'm guessing you passed it.
I did.
Fair to say. I did. You did. Did you immediately come back here?
Yeah. So I came back here, took the bar, and I really kind of started working at the firm, and it is, I guess, in a law clerk role. I wasn't a lawyer here, but I was a lawyer. So
you want to get an understanding too.
Yeah. So I was
see that
pseudo lawyer, law clerk role, and then passed the bar, and then just kind of hit the ground running, and really starting primarily with, I feel like, heavy on the med mal to start with.
Yeah.
Bruce Kehoe, because it's just so different here, and I need to
different than Illinois.
Very different.
No panel.
You name it. No panel. No caps.
No casts.
You just have to have an affidavit, like a merit affidavit, to file your case, and you're on your way.
When you decided to come move back to Indy, did Ashley come with you?
Yeah,
she did.
Yes.
Okay. And I know she worked at Kehoe and Malad first.
Yep, she's at Kehoe and Malad, doing all med mal, nursing home, sex abuse cases.
Yeah, the sex abuse stuff those are so sad. We've done a few of them.
I know you have.
They're bad.
Those are tough.
Yes, yeah, they are.
God love you guys and Ashley, the people out there that do it, because it is incredibly hard work.
It is.
It's important.
What always floors me is the lack of value that the insurance companies put on those cases.
I know.
It's like a concussion case, I think that's developed a lot more. About back 15 years ago when I first started doing this, they would say to me, they'd be like, that's a bump on the head. Okay. Why do they struggle to read then?
The damages side of those cases, I think, are really hard to assess sometimes, and because insurance companies, how they assess them. So
right,
they're difficult cases. They really are.
Right,
and they're oftentimes they can be difficult liability cases.
Yeah.
So and there's coverage issues. So they're complex.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So speaking of complex, you guys do a lot of complex litigation. Let's talk a little bit about your practice now, Wilson, Kehoe, Winningham, and just kind of the practice areas you guys are focusing on. What are you guys doing there?
So I would say it's all plaintiff's work, right? It's all medical malpractice, catastrophic injury, wrongful death, general personal injury cases, and then I would say about 20% of our practice is still product liability.
What kind of products?
Yeah, I mean, for example, if you have a balloon that suffocates a child, where if a child puts a balloon over their head, it suffocates a child, failure to warn. We have right now some of the Depo Provera cases. This was contraceptive, and prolonged use of it causes meningiomas, cranial brain tumors. We have several of those. We have some treadmill cases, where you get swept under a treadmill. So there's those cases they're wild cases. And those are really difficult cases, because usually they begin with something that is, the liability premise always begins with an event that is difficult from just a general liability perspective. So then you have to figure out what is the product's failure, and how do you kind of compare it to what basically the genesis of the incident was. So
Let me ask you this, because a lot of people, I've done some products cases. A lot of people don't understand that there's a Products Liability Act here that makes it incredibly difficult. We've had really sad cases where we've had to go tell the client that we cannot pursue the case because of the adverse instruction you're going to get. So, can you kind of explain to our audience kind of what the Products Liability Act is and what it's done here?
Well, and what is so difficult about it is what the act provides then, because you don't have, true strict liability, and you have this kind of hodgepodge statute that really makes the instructions at the end of a trial difficult. They're complicated. They're already just scientifically complicated cases, and the jury instructions at the end of a trial, when you compare what is a design defect or what a failure to warn might mean, or what a manufacturing defect is and how that implicates liability, and then you also have, well, was the product used in the way that it was supposed to be used, and if it was misused, what does that mean? And the statute I think it's kind of poorly written. It's convoluted. So that being the case, for us on products cases, the injuries have to just be totally catastrophic. Or they have to be a death case.
Oh yeah.
Just because they're expensive cases, they're difficult cases, they take a long time, and when you go and try a case, it's going to be a difficult case to get a verdict on. Right. So we're pretty selective. I know like you are about our cases. Generally, we're super selective about all of our cases, especially our med mal cases, and especially our products cases. Which is why maybe 20 years ago, I bet 30 or more percentage of our cases were products cases. We just don't do as much of it now.
I had Tina Bell on the show, and she told me that out of maybe 100 cases, she takes 1 to 3 that come through intakes, like
of all categories or med
mal.
Oh,
med mal.
I would totally
1 to 3%. That's crazy.
Gosh, I would say maybe only 5 to 7% you even order records on, review, get it, an expert involved, and so and explaining to people the Medical Malpractice Act and the uphill battle that it is, it's difficult. I've gotten really good at explaining it because I've had to do it a lot. But it's sad, and people, it frustrates them. I mean, a lot of people, I will say, you probably have a really good negligence case. It doesn't mean you have a pursuable medical malpractice case in Indiana.
Yeah. So let's talk about that med mal process in Indiana. What does that entail?
Yeah. So it begins with you file a complaint with the Department of Insurance, right? Because if you are pursuing a case against a healthcare provider, they're likely what's called a qualified healthcare provider, meaning they pay an annual surcharge to be considered as much and get the benefits of this Medical Malpractice Act. So when you file your case originally, you got to go through this Department of Insurance process. You're not even in state court. You go through this Department of Insurance process where you have a medical review panel that is convened, and it's of 3, for lack of a better word, it's of 3 physicians that are specialized in the area of medicine that's at issue.
Okay.
There's some caveats to that, but that's generally, if you have a birth injury case, you're going to have 3 OBs. That's very general. Sometimes you're going to have mixed specialties, but that's sort of the process. And you go through this kind of striking process to come up with these 3 physicians who are supposed to be neutral. But if you, me, and Tina were asked to, be on a panel to judge another lawyer's conduct, that'd be difficult, right?
It is.
We'd be biased to probably find in their favor.
Yeah.
So 85% of the time, the medical review panel's fine in favor of the healthcare provider.
Yeah.
So, that means only 15% of the time they're fighting for plaintiffs. So it's skewed. I mean, it's I've heard, Fox guard in the hen house be used to describe it before. Maybe that's a bit strong, but it's really difficult. So you've got to have a very good case so that you hopefully get a either 2-1 opinion or 3-0 opinion in your favor.
Yep.
And then you get to proceed through state court. But at the end of the day, at a trial, that medical review panel opinion can be used. It can be shown to the jury. It's admissible in evidence. So if a defense has a 3-0 opinion in their favor, they get to say, look, we had this totally neutral process with these 3 doctors who aren't even hired by anyone. They're not retained and paid to give opinions, and they all, found for my client. That's a difficult thing to overcome.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that process, years, right?
Years can take. It doesn't usually take less than a couple years, and it can take 5 or so years.
Yeah. Do you find success in getting cases resolved if you get a favorable panel opinion, 3-0?
I do. I think that if it's 3-0, most of the time you're going to get the case resolved, and you're going to get the case resolved maybe after a couple more depositions, or maybe just right away, usually. Or I have a case right now I got a 3-0 opinion on. I have a panelist who actually wanted to refer one of the defendant nurses for her fitness to practice nursing medicine, and we've got trial set in October. And so sometimes, most of the time they get resolved, sometimes they don't. So, and then when it's 2-1 either way, that's when it's really tricky.
Yeah.
You have one healthcare provider who was found, differently from the other two. That gives both sides some leverage to make arguments, right?
And your cap too, right?
Yep, capped, and there's depending on what time frame you're in, changes your cap. So it has changed over time. So now it's 1.8 million or whatever. But that's the most that you can ever get.
And here's something that I was really surprised by when I saw Katie Karras at my office. We do some med mal, mostly nursing home stuff.
Yeah.
But was the way they pay it out with the structure system, because people think, it's 1 point whatever cap, pay the 1 point whatever attorney fees, like you normally would, but that's not exactly how they pay it out, right?
No, and it's the statute. I will try to explain this as cleanly and as not boring as possible, but the statute basically mandates that a portion of the settlement of the first part of the case with the healthcare providers, before you get to the second stage, hopefully, which is with the patient's compensation fund, part of that settlement, part of what is paid from that settlement has to be used to buy an annuity. So you could be 80 years old and you go and you settle your case. Well, you have to use some of that money that is being paid to you has to be used to purchase an annuity to pay over time. Well, if you're even 55 years old, most of these annuities you're not ever going to see the benefit of. They start paying 25, 30 years later. So it is a real, it really is frustrating. I know that Ashley and Jerry are actually about to challenge that. So God love them for doing that. But that's explaining that to people also. It's really, it's just kind of complicated, first of all, to explain the specifics of the annuity and the resolution and what the options look like. And then I say, well, wait, why do I even have to have an annuity? I don't get it. So,
right.
Yeah.
My family immigrated here from Cuba after Fidel Castro took over, and this government took everything from my family, and that attracted me to be a lawyer. Insurance companies can be like bullies, and they have a lot of resources behind them. Give us a call here at Hearst Limontes. We are protective of our clients because our clients matter and you matter. Indiana's trusted personal injury law firm is proud to partner with the Indiana Fever for 2025, bringing the same passion, persistence, and power to the courtroom that the Indiana Fever bring to the court. At Hearst Limontes, we fight for the injured and stand up to those who can't stand alone. Just like the Fever fight every night for victory and community pride. This partnership is more than just about basketball. It's about resilience, leadership, and giving back to Indiana, on and off the court. So this season, when you cheer the Fever, remember, there's a team in the courtroom with the same winning spirit. I want to talk a little bit about, you mentioned, you're talking about medical malpractice. I know that you've handled some kind of high profile cases, and we can't really get into too many details about it. But those cases that you were handling against, I'll just say Dr. Klein, were those considered medical malpractice cases or birth injury cases?
Medical malpractice.
They were because he's qualified, right?
So these are all filed as medical malpractice cases.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, that is true.
Okay. And switching to birth injury cases, those are, depending on the provider, most of them are qualified, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So those are also medical malpractice cases.
Those are all medical malpractice cases.
Those cases, and I know you guys do quite a few of those cases as well. And there's not many lawyers that have that birth injury focus. You know what I mean? How do you, being a dad of young kids, like you are there, like you remember when they were babies, you know? So how do you balance that when you're talking to these grieving parents, you know, and, you know, obviously doing your job, and then in the back of your mind, you got your kids. Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, I'd ask you the same question with your work, right? It's not dissimilar to whenever you have a child, you had a catastrophic injury or death case. I mean, this is something that I think I'll probably always struggle with in the practice is balancing all of our cases and what we see. And it is by far the exception, right? These are rare circumstances, but it doesn't feel rare to us because we see it multiple times every day, right? And this is what we do every day. Balancing that with, balancing, trying to compartmentalize and know that those are the exceptions, and trying to live your life free of the anxiety of what you see. So I think, on the birth injury side here, we have two kids, and Ashley does a lot of birth injury work as well. So going through that process it's already anxiety inducing for any parent. But I think just knowing as much as we know, which is, don't get me wrong, I'm certainly not a physician, but you know enough to know kind of what's going on and what to look at and signs and symptoms and that, and just kind of process and timeline. Those were difficult experiences for us.
Oh, yeah.
Both births were perfectly fine. But I always, Ashley always gives me crap for this. I really try to distance myself sometimes from, in the medical context of being a medical malpractice lawyer. I just don't want to seem obnoxious. And so when people ask me what I am, I say a lawyer. And if they put, well, a medical malpractice lawyer. But it was the one time that you fill out something when you're about to deliver and information about yourself, and it was the only time where they asked what your occupation is. I said medical malpractice lawyer. I just had a little extra maybe insurance there, and actually was like, "You're an idiot." But it's a balance, and with the parents coming in with kids, I think I'm not good at a lot of things, most things probably, but I think where I am good is at trying to find a balance of talking to people about their loss and just how I can't fathom what it's like to be sitting in a lawyer's office talking through this, with also then kind of talking about, okay, what does this mean legally for you? What are the options? Yeah.
They're really sad. I had one case where it was the mom had the baby at Hendricks County Hospital, but the baby was not doing very well, and so they had to rush the baby via ambulance to St. Vincent, and there was a car crash. Ambulance got crashed into, and so at that point, everyone seized up. Nobody would talk to the parents at all. And after reviewing all the records and everything, I was the one that had to explain to the parents that the baby had essentially died at Hendricks and would have died regardless of the car crash. Nobody had ever told them that before.
Yeah. How often do you feel like you have those conversations with clients where they learn something from you that either a healthcare provider, whether it be a PI case where just a treating provider never told them this, but you see it in an op note or a SOAP note or something, and you're telling them something they've never seen?
All the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens all the time, and it usually involves a healthcare provider. It usually involves something that they, maybe they were under duress and they didn't understand, they didn't hear, they weren't paying attention, but it's always something like that we had to explain to them. So
I tell this all the time to my friends that are physicians. I say, truly probably 75% or more of our medical malpractice cases come down to, at a very basic level, lack of communication or failure to communicate. It truly, you can almost always trace it back to someone did not communicate something to someone else, and everything goes awry.
Oh yeah.
You have your 25% that are just pure, intraoperative error or whatever, surgical error, whatever it might be. But I would say most of our cases involve just a failure to communicate, which seems crazy given the technology that we have now.
Yeah. Yeah. And their ability to immediately record whatever it is that they're doing, at the time. So, I want to talk a little bit about some of the trial work. As far as trial goes, what would you say is maybe your favorite part of trial? Like, what do you look forward to the most?
Man, it's a great question. I feel like opening statement is always just, it sounds kind of boring. A lot of people might say, they love crossing the experts or this or that, which is great. But I feel like the opening statement is always like, all right, this is showtime, and it's just, it's like, I feel like that's where you start to get your rhythm in a case too. Like, okay, you set the stage, you set your theme, and I feel like that's when I come into my comfort zone, is like after or during, my opening.
Yeah.
I feel like I get a rhythm, and it's like, I feel like that's when you're kind of start to get comfortable. And I don't feel like during voir dire, I'm comfortable. I don't feel like before opening statement, I'm comfortable. I'm like, opening statement is when you kind of hit the ground running, and it's like, all right, let's go. I think that's, I don't know, maybe my favorite part, just because I think it sets the stage for everything.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, opening is my favorite too, but my problem is I get argumentative. So,
Or not.
and I do things that you probably shouldn't do. I tried to use defense counsel's exhibit one time during opening. He objected to that. It was Judge Hanley sustained it. So, but, and I heard that was a Keith Mitnick thing. He was like, oh, if they have a board up there and flipped around, go up there and flip it back and start talking to the jury about it.
I've seen that podcast, or maybe in the book, I read that.
Yeah. He said, and I was like, should he put his board up there? I'm doing my opening, so I may as well just flip it over. But
I don't blame you.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun. We had a good verdict on that, but, I would say opening, I think that's the best time. And voir dire is just so uncomfortable, and, they're still getting used to the fact. The one thing I wish that we could do between the moment that they are, on the jury, picked to be on the jury, and then opening statement, sometimes the judges just roll right into it, and a lot of times you look at these people's faces and they're like, like, I got to do this now for the next, let me call my, I got to text so-and-so and the babysitter. And
and they get in, and then they get in there and they're just kind of like slapped, like, all right, I guess we're going to listen to these people talk more.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So that's, but that is your moment. That's why I think you have to be, maybe a little argumentative during your opening, because that's your moment to shine and really tell a story. So, I want to talk a little bit about your involvement in professional organizations like the Bar Foundation. I mentioned earlier you are a bar junkie like me. We see each other a lot, or at the Bar Association offices. So you're the incoming president, right?
Of the Bar Foundation.
The Bar Foundation. What is the Bar Foundation?
So the Bar Foundation is it's a charitable arm of the Indianapolis Bar Association. So we do all of the fundraising that really supports the foundation and also the Bar Association. It is just, as you know, an awesome group of people.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fundraising.
It is. It is no small feat, but it is made so much easier. And I don't just say this to give them a shout out, but the staff there is
they do
incredible.
a great job.
They're incredible. So, the past couple presidents have done such a good job. Travis Jensen, as you know, obviously, Bree Clark, and so they have big shoes to fill. But the staff makes it way easier than they should.
Yeah,
they're wonderful.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do all the heavy lifting. So, if you were to tell a young lawyer, like, what are some of the advantages of doing working with the Bar Foundation or even the association.
Yeah. I two things. One, I think it's the best way to meet people that aren't in your area of practice, right? I mean, how many people have you met that you never would have otherwise met? And so it's just, I like meeting people. I like people. So it's just a fun way to connect with people. And also, like, selfishly, it's a great way to develop new referral sources. That's never been the impetus to being involved in it, but it's just a really good way to get your name out in the community. But I think, just personally for me, the most fun aspect has been getting to, like, know judges a lot better.
Outside of the courtroom.
Exactly. It's like, I think especially as a really young lawyer, I was like, oh my gosh, these people are on this pedestal, which they are, but it's also like, they're real people, right? And it's so being at association events with them and getting to be on committees with them and doing real work with, judges, and just getting to know them, these people that you're going to be in front of, and trying cases in front of, having hearings in front of. I think there's a lot of value in that in a lot of different ways.
Absolutely.
So I've loved that. But it's just, our foundation does so much good work, and so does the association, for so many different causes. So it's just a total win-win.
Yeah. I mean, they do excellent work in bringing legal services and legal opportunities to people that wouldn't normally be able to get them.
Absolutely. I cannot say enough about it. And I mean, I think when I moved back here, I was just kind of blown away at how impressive the Bar Foundation and Bar Association was. And so right away I got involved and got in the young lawyers, board or whatever. And somehow they kept me around.
Yeah.
And
they kicked me off that. I got too old.
You got too old?
They were like, this white's not going to work anymore, Alex. Nope. You're out of here, old man.
That's great.
What about ITLA? Another great organization. I'm on the executive committee there as well. So what are some of the advantages, especially for young lawyers, joining ITLA?
Oh my gosh. Talk about another staff that is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that Jason and Sarah and Amanda and gosh, it's really amazing what everyone does over there. For young lawyers, I mean, the listserv in and of itself is just, it's remarkable. It's remarkable how you just don't see this, I don't think, on the defense side. But I don't mean that pejoratively. There's reasons for it. But there is such a sense of community on the plaintiff side that people like sharing information. They want to help each other out. They want to help people so they can help their clients. I mean, right? Yeah. It's if you have a question about a topic, it has probably at least been asked on the listserv and most likely answered. But if it's super, super, super niche, it might be the first time, but you're going to find an answer in some way, shape, or form to a question you probably have.
Yeah.
And getting insight from, lawyers, like Nick Dietz or Jerry Arrow or people that just have done this and they have insight for the last 30, 40 years of the practice, it's invaluable. You go throw an email out there and you get 10 different responses. So I think that in and of itself is one way. I also think that for young lawyers to just see how legislation is made, and it's difficult for, I think, plaintiff's trial lawyers. It is an uphill battle, to say the least. I've used that word a couple times. There's a common theme here for trial lawyers, but I think to see ITLA's involvement, how they work with senators and representatives, how they use lobbying efforts, but how strategic they are
on both sides of the aisle too.
Exactly. They know they've got to have friends on both sides of the aisle, and especially the Republican side of the aisle. You got to be willing to work with people. It's a very good way to see something that you can also mirror in your practice, where you got to work with people sometimes.
Absolutely.
Right. Pick and choose your battles.
Yeah.
And I think that's a valuable thing for young lawyers to see.
Absolutely. And Indiana has a Republican supermajority, but it's not a Democrat or Republican thing. Our trial lawyer issues are not Democratic issues. They're people issues. They're just normal, everyday people, regardless of their political affiliation and what they believe, that probably something terrible has happened to them, And it was not their own choosing, and they need I hate that compensation, justice.
Yeah,
they need justice.
I could not agree more.
Yeah. So, Bar Foundation upcoming year. Are they going to do the talent show?
Yes.
Is that coming back?
Yes.
All right.
And thank you for sponsoring last year.
I'll be back if they call me again.
All right, you're on the record now. Okay, we're gonna come back for sure. What a fun event that was. What a great idea. I mean, that I think that initially that event, it's either going to be boom or bust, right? You're going to have people that are going to engage and come in and go all in, or you're going to have people be hesitant, and it's just not going to work. And it was not the latter at all. It was really just an awesome event. So yeah, we'll have a talent show. We'll have typical gala. I know you've been involved in I think all these things. You know what it's like to fundraise and put on these events, and the community in Indy is really good about supporting the Bar Foundation and Bar Association too. I mean, I think that they thrive so well because the firms in the city know how valuable they are and give to them. Right? I do not take that for granted. That's not the case in every city. It's really not. It's really not.
No. And I mean, you practiced up in Chicago.
Yeah, it's there's not the I don't think there's the there's just not the level of like collegiality and I think it's different here. And in the bar, I think means it just with a smaller community, I think naturally the Bar Association is probably going to mean a little bit more to a city than maybe a much larger city might be. So I think that's probably natural, but here it's integral.
Yeah. You and your wife have taken over the Christmas ugly sweater party. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Was it last year, the first year you guys hosted it?
Oh, great question. So this is going on like 10 years now, or 12 years. I started doing it when I was in, 13 years maybe, in law school. I just started having people over to my apartment. And so when I moved back here, Ashley and I, we had a lot of people that we wanted to invite to the party, but our apartment would not let for it. So my parents graciously accepted our invitation to have them have people to their So yeah, as you've been, it's one of my favorite events. We had about 100 people this last year at our house. Lots of lawyers and judges and just other friends and non-lawyers, and I don't know, it's a great time. Yeah, the great time. So that's been something that we look forward to every year. It's usually the first Saturday, first Saturday of December. December is crazy, but
so many holiday parties.
Yeah, open invitation to those listening. It's a great time.
Yeah, it is. It's a wonderful time. So, outside of the law, you still play tennis?
Poorly.
But you try.
Not as much as I rarely, which is so too bad. I love tennis. I think that probably like you, I'm at a phase of life where if I'm going to be doing something fun, it's not going to be with my kids. I got to pick and choose what that is. And for me, that's usually golf now. And I run a lot. So I run or I play golf. In the winter, I play a sport called paddle tennis or platform tennis. Have you ever heard of that? So they look like mini tennis courts, and they're on raised platforms with big cages around them. They're heated from the bottom, and the platforms have space between each platform so that ice or snow melts through. So it's a winter sport. And you have a paddle and a really kind of dense, almost looks like a tennis ball, but it's much more dense. And so you hit it over to the net onto the other team's side, your opponent's side. It bounces, and you can let it hit off the screen, is what it's called.
Okay.
To hit it back over.
Kind of
it's
racquetball.
It's not dissimilar. Yes, but you cannot hit it off the screen and hit it over, right? So like if it hits the screen on your side, you can then hit it over.
Got it.
So that's my favorite winter activity. It's really fun.
Outside.
So you get dressed really warm, but the heat from the the floor kind of provides a little bit of warmth.
Yeah.
But, there's only so much to do winter-wise, here in Indiana. So.
Yeah, I was telling someone the other day, I was like, guys, I get so bad the seasonal affective and I'm a Floridian. whenever, I see the sun, like I have to see it. And it's not even the cold. I don't mind the cold. The cold doesn't bother me. It's the grayness,
100%.
Yeah.
That's why February every year, I'm like, we try to do something, go somewhere, or I try to be active because I don't know, I'm itching for spring. So those are probably like my main activities outside of the practice. I spend a ton of time I'm super close with all three of my sisters. Two are in a Chicago suburb, and one is a nurse practitioner here in Westfield. And my parents live 5 minutes from us.
Oh,
see them
perfect.
a ton. So spend a lot of time with them.
You have how many kids now? Two kids. How old are they?
They're 4 and almost 2.
Oh my.
Yeah.
That's a good age.
Yeah. So they're you remember that?
Yeah, I know. I've got a 4-year-old now, but
that's right. Yeah, she's 4.
She's crazy.
Our 4-year-old, you can at least reason with him. The 2-year-old, he's our wild man.
Yeah.
So
2 boys.
Oh yeah.
So boys are very sweet. The girls pick up things a lot faster. They always do, because we have boy girl, but and then the boys get older and they start to get too cool for shit, Yeah. So, and the girls waiter longer. Yeah.
I had 3 sisters, growing up, they would put me in my place when I thought I was cool, and I definitely wasn't.
Are you the youngest?
I'm third.
You're third.
I'm third.
Okay. Yeah. I'm second out of 5.
Okay.
So
you got it.
Yeah. Yeah. But, no, it's great. And obviously your 4-year-old is going to get older and start probably doing like a U3 soccer league or something, which is hilarious watching 3-year-olds play soccer.
Did T-ball this year.
Yeah.
Was not into it at all. And also a hilarious endeavor every year to go there and see what the hell he was going to do that day, which is probably sitting in the dirt and playing with it.
Yeah. We did with our oldest Franco when I think he was like 9. We enrolled him at Indianapolis Racket Club, IRC. Yeah, and
Dean Road
Orange classes. Yeah, and he picked it up really well. He loves tennis.
Yeah, our 4-year-old starting to like it. I spent about half of my life at IRC, so I know IRC well.
Totally different now, by the way.
Yes, yeah, Dean Road and East. There's one on Shadeland too. Last year, he played tennis once, and he's really pretty easygoing kid, but he stopped out halfway through, and he said, tennis is too scary. So that was special. Because, tennis is very frightening, of course.
Yeah. Right. So imagine a baseball flying at you. Like,
exactly. I was like, oh, my God, you're Winningham. Come on.
Yeah.
So tennis this year, he's into it, though, again.
Yeah.
So that's fun to see how kids evolve and kind of let them do it on their own.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So outside of the Bar Foundation, Bar Association, and legal related organizations, any other local organizations that you work with or support?
Yeah, I've been on the Brain Injury Association of Indiana board for, I think, 3 years now, BIAI. Wonderful board. The board consists of survivors of traumatic brain injury. We've got Dr. Sachin Mehta, physical medical rehabilitation doctor, who's wonderful. He's on it. Great guy. Great position.
Had him on some bad TBIs that went to RHI for treatment.
Have you?
Yeah. Bad commercial crashes.
He's wonderful.
Commercial vehicle crashes. Yeah.
He's a straight shooter in a great position. And kind of a variety of other people that maybe work in the TBI space, whether it be occupational therapists, whatever it is. So it is a amazing organization, provides a ton of resources for survivors of TBI. So I love that group. I served for years on the Goodwill Foundation board.
Oh, yeah.
That was also one of my favorite things I've ever been involved in. I feel like I'm like you, where if I'm going to be on a board of any sort, I want it to be an active board.
Right.
The ones that meet quarterly don't do anything. You don't really feel like you're doing anything. So I try to limit board involvement so that I'm actively involved, but at the same time, I'm not doing so many where I'm too stretched thin and I just can't do anything. So those are my kind of, the BIAI is kind of my non-legal one that I'm most involved in right now, I would say.
Yeah. If anyone listening wants to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Email Winningham, KWININGHAM @WKW.com, or they can call 317-920-6400. Before we finish, I gotta ask you, what is your craziest trial story? I've never talked to you about this.
Me?
Yeah.
I told Andy yesterday. It was the first one. So yesterday I had Andy Baldwin on.
Yeah.
He was here for a while talking about the Delphi murders.
Yeah.
He represented Richard Allen.
Yep.
But I did criminal defense work, and those are probably my craziest stories. But I did, I was doing criminal defense work. I was a young lawyer, first trial I'd ever done, 2 months out of law school. Not 2 months, 2 months after becoming a lawyer, excuse me. Because, you need to take the bar and you wait. Yeah. So it was end of November, I think. And I'm trying a 2-count criminal misdemeanor case, resisting law enforcement by force and disorderly conduct. My client was probably in her early 70s, fibromyalgia, older woman. And I thought to myself, how can she resist law enforcement by force? So anyways, she'd never been arrested before. And I got her a good deal to get the case dismissed, but she didn't want to take it. She wanted to make her point and go to trial. And I told her, you can't go up there and testify. You got to plead the fifth. So she insists on testifying. Insists. You know Eric Schmadicke, right?
Of course.
Eric was prosecuting the case. And I love Eric. Eric's a great guy. And Amy Martins was on it too. Amy and I went to law school together. But Eric went up there and just asked her a very simple kind of background question, like, you live at something or something like that. And she goes, "You're a real asshole, aren't you?"
Nice.
My jaw, you pick it up off the ground. I was like, because I just had her daughter on the stand, and her daughter was great. And I was like, we got this. This is in the bag. Not guilty on 2 counts. You don't have to testify. We can rest right now. We can rest.
So now she's resisting law enforcement and resisting cross-examination.
Yeah. And she goes, "You're a real asshole." And so then she was convicted of disorderly conduct because she was acting disorderly in the courtroom in front of them. She tried to make it seem like she's a sweet old lady, and then it was a not guilty on the resisting by force. I got a split verdict, but that was my first trial. She was like, "You're a real asshole." I was like, "Oh God."
That is a good story. That is a good one. Oh, so I'm glad I asked. That's a good one.
Yeah, that was, I'll never forget that. It was 2006, I think, 2007. I can't remember.
You can't make this stuff up.
No, it's crazy shit. When you're a public defender, I had another guy this is a crazy story. One guy, it was a plea agreement, but I got him a good deal. The probable cause affidavit read, the cop was driving down the street and he had gotten a call on a disturbance. So he's driving down the street, pretty well-lit street. Cop's driving, he sees like a shoe here and keeps driving, looks down, sees another shoe, and then starts to see random pieces of clothing down the road. And then he looks down the road and he sees my client, he's about my size. Okay, big dude. And he's walking down the road, butt naked with masturbating.
As one
yelling, yes, in a neighborhood, yelling, "It's on now. It's on now."
It was.
Yeah. And so it was a kind of a crazy story. So but I got him this great deal with the prosecutor. And I remember the prosecutor, she was a friend of mine, and it was such an embarrassing thing to read, but she has to read it out loud for him to admit to it, make the factual basis. I admit to the crime. And so she reads, "You were in a public place in a state of nudity." She reads the factual basis for public nudity, not public indecency, which is what he was pleading to. And so she reads it, he admits to it, and then the judge, it was Becky Pearson Tracy. She was so great. She was so blunt. I loved it. She goes, "We have a gallery full of people. There's 40 people in the freaking gallery waiting to have their case heard." Because there was a factory in there. Yep. You ran cases through. So Becky Pearson Tracy, she looks at Amy Martins, the prosecutor, and she goes, "Can counsel, you just read the factual basis for public nudity, but he's pleading to public indecency. And then she looks at my client, I'm sitting right next to him, and she goes, and you were masturbating, weren't you? In front of the whole courtroom, like called him out. The whole courtroom like blows up and like starts laughing and shit. He throws his hands up in the air. And I'm like, hey, man, here, you have a good deal. Just say yes, And so ultimately he agreed to it. But this guy was like
about to.
Yeah, like
throw everything.
Yeah, like, and I was just like, I just she goes, and you were masturbating, weren't you? I was like, oh my.
I was like, he's like, did that feel good?
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. So, but that's just crazy. I negotiated plea agreements with guys who were literally on the toilet taking a crap. 20 guys in a tiny room, no bigger than this. Toilet in the corner. I'm trying to holler at him. There's 3 or 4 other guys that are like, oh, he's a public pretender. Don't listen to him. I got a better deal from blankety blank lawyer. And I'm like, fuck, dude, this is absolutely crazy. It smells like death in there,
That's the thing that I feel like if I had to go back, I wish that at some point I was, for some time, prosecutor or public defender, so that you learn so much of trying cases. Like, that is something I feel like I missed.
You do learn a lot. You learn a lot about people.
Yeah.
But God bless them. I mean, and I told my public defender friends, they know that I was doing well and I was trying cases, but then I had to do major felony work. And I just knew that I was not going to be a good version of myself as a lawyer if I had to represent someone that was accused of molesting a child or something.
I remember hearing you say,
yeah, I was like, I'm not going to be able, I can't do this. So I got to go find something else, all due respect. I appreciate, respect, and frankly admire how a lot of criminal defense attorneys have such profound support for the rule of law that they can set those feelings. Because they don't, sometimes they're like, this guy's a piece of shit, but they can set those feelings aside and then do the best job that they can possibly do, representing them. So I admire that.
I do too. God love him, because I don't think I could do it. And I totally agree that having that belief in justice and the rule of law, it's what it's all built on.
Yeah. Well, we need a little more of that nowadays. So, well, Kent, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This has been super fun.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of Circle City Conversations. Please subscribe and support us and listen to any future conversations we have coming up. Thank you.